Welcome to the Talk to Talk Club podcast where I talk about anything and everything. Today I wanted to discuss a podcast I was watching, and basically it was about porn stars and their life inside the industry as well as their life outside the industry. And I thought it was pretty interesting. But the more I watched, the more it became sad because they were talking about how they couldn't find real love because all the people they dated only wanted to see them in the same light as when they're on the set. Basically, they were saying that the people they were dating were dehumanizing them and not seeing for who they were as a person. And then they start talking about how many people they were having sex with. And one lady, she said she had sex with over 35 guys in one day. I'm not lying. 35 guys in one day. And if you're a person like me who reads a lot about psychology and mental health, there's always a rooted problem when it comes to situations like this. And me being the nerd I started doing research and looking up a bunch of different things. And then something clicked in my head to do a deeper dive as far as the people who watch these things as well. So a lot of information I'm going to be talking about comes from a website called therewardfoundation.com. And they deal with a lot of things when it comes to sex, relationships, and love. So I'm going to take a deep dive into the studies they found when it comes to people watching porn. Over 85 studies link porn use to emotional mental health as far as depression and anxiety. They also said even 3 hours of porn a week causes notable reduction in gray matter in your brain. They also have an overview list of the risks of watching porn, and I'm going to name a few and then go a little bit more in depth in what they're talking about when it comes to these different risks. The first one is social isolation, and that includes withdrawing from social activities, developing a secret life, lying and deceiving others, becoming self-centered, choosing porn over people. The second one is mood disorders, feeling irritable, feeling angry and depressed, experience mood swings, feeling powerless in relation to porn, also feeling anxiety and fearful. The next one is sexually objectifying others, treating people as sex objects, judging people primarily in terms of their body parts, experiencing mood swings, disrespecting others' needs for privacy and safety, being intense about sexually harmful behavior. The next one is engaging in risky and dangerous behaviors, which include accessing porn at work and school, accessing child abuse imagery, participating in degrading, abusive, violent, and criminal sexual activities, producing, disturbing, or selling porn, engaging in physical, unsafe, harmful sex. And the last one on the list is unhealthy intimate partners. Relationships is married by dishonesty and deception about porn use. Partner views porn as identified, i.e. cheating. Partner is intensely upset and angry. Partner is concerned about the welfare of the child. Loss of emotional closeness and mutual sexual enjoyment. And a lot of these things I had no clue about because I've done a little research on the harmfulness that can come from watching porn, but I never really went that deep into it. And one of the things that I've said in the beginning is the objectifying the person, but that was from the porn star's perspective. But as the viewer, it's the same thing. It comes back to the viewer. The more you watch porn, the more you engage in it. When it's time to actually have those intimate moments with your partner, it's not fun anymore, or it's not as fun anymore, because now you're living through a fantasy. And it's kind of like you get a high off of what you're watching versus the actual act, which is crazy to me. I definitely rather engage in it than to watch it, but to each his own. And I'm not here to shame anybody, like people who watch porn or sex workers. That's not what my podcast is about. It's about opening the conversation and giving people the opportunity to just think a little bit. Because the society that we live in, instead of helping a problem, they rather congratulate it. But that's not the business that I'm in. If there's a problem, I want to do my best to solve it. And if I can't solve it, at least give some insight so you can get the help that you need if there's a problem. Because a lot of people also watch a lot of porn as a way to escape from whatever's going in their life. It's like they go into this mode and this is hypnotizing them. And that becomes porn addiction. And that's a whole nother can of worms as well, that you're definitely going to need therapy. And for how long, who knows? And people who want to live out this fantasy, who don't really know about soul ties. And if you want to hear about that, I can also do an episode on that, because that's a whole different can of worms. But you create this soul ties when you have sex with multiple people, and it becomes hard for you to actually engage in a one-on-one relationship with a person. And it shows in the form of, oh, I love this person, but I'm bored with them. Or you try to get them to get into other hobbies, I would say, like threesomes. But if it's not the person's thing, now it becomes a friction. Or you try to get that person to engage in kinks, and that's not who they are, and that becomes a problem. So I don't actually see any good in watching this at all. And I'm not here to judge, but I know a lot of people have viewed that podcast. I know it's on YouTube and accessible to anybody to watch it. So if a teenager or a kid in middle school and they watch that and they get glamorized by what they're seeing, they also need to find something like my podcast, which gives you a little more insight to what can happen when you engage in these kind of behaviors or when you watch these kind of videos. And that's all I'm here for. I'm not here to judge. People are going to do what they're going to do, and life is going to go on. But I also want to be that voice in the back of your mind before you actually commit to doing something like that. You have to love yourself, protect your mental, and be aware of what's going on around you. I know this one's a little short, but I thought it was important to talk about this. So once again, this is the Talk the Talk Club. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I appreciate everybody. And I'll see you next time.